So the amount of times I've heard that we have the exact right amount of people for this exact amount of work that we know we need to do, nothing is falling through the cracks, everything is going on time, and our marketing is working at the most optimal efficiency that it possibly could is zero. Now I understand my line of work is to help people make their marketing systems better, so that's kind of like an oncologist thinking everyone in the world has cancer. But I don't think it would be an incorrect statement to say that more times than not, there is a lot to do in marketing and not enough people to do it. So today we're going to talk about how to do the work of a 10-person marketing team with only 1, 2, 3, less than that amount of people. The first thing you want to do is shift the mindset of the team in general. You want to think like a special ops team, not like a factory. Truthfully, I think smaller marketing teams actually always have an advantage because the capacity to be flexible, adaptable, and nimble in marketing is massive. And sometimes giant marketing teams don't have that capacity. So first, I would view what seems like an overwhelming task as an asset. You want to refine the game. Your goal is to be faster, better, and more adaptable, which should be marketing teams' goals regardless of their size, but this is definitely emphasized when you feel like you don't have enough people to do all of the work that needs to be done. So with this, one of the first tactical pieces of advice I would give from what I've seen in my work is to make something someone's baby, meaning make one channel, one strategy, one pipeline entirely someone's responsibility. What I see happen a lot on smaller marketing teams is that they will segment out the responsibilities of something. Say, for example, we have an email newsletter and person number 1 is going to be in charge of the newsletter, but person number 2 is going to provide all the content, copy, things that person number 1 needs to put the newsletter together. Or we're going to have person number 1 handle all of the social media, but person number 2 is going to run all of the paid. Technically, this is a good strategy because you are trying to lean into each person's strengths, but this does tend to be a problem sometimes on smaller marketing teams because what happens is person number 1 ends up waiting on person number 2. And there's a little bit of inefficiency that happens there when you're working as a small team. And 2, the responsibility tends to fall through the cracks. So when things get delayed, when things aren't showing up, it's no one's full 100% responsibility for that channel. And it kind of becomes this gray area of who should have done what, why are we behind? Oh, it was this person who didn't give me this, well, it was this person who needed to do that. When you are a small team, having one person in charge of an entire channel or an entire project typically helps keep responsibility extremely clear and eliminate any waiting inefficiencies. So that person can say, okay, this is my responsibility, this is my baby, I am going to take this from start to finish and I'm going to report on how it did, and I'm going to need minimal other people in the process. Things can't always happen this way, but we try to avoid segmentation as much as possible when we're working with smaller teams. The next key to success as a small marketing team is ruthless prioritization. There are always a million things that could be done. We would like to have a fancy internal newsletter. We would like to have a wonderful social media presence. We would like to have really good paid campaigns. But when you have a small team, the allocation of time, money, and resources is more important than anything else. And so being able to look at the whole picture, understand which pieces of your marketing are moving the needle the most, and focusing all of your time, money, and energy on those few things is going to create a lot more success for a lot less work. By nature, people tend to want to do the things that they like to do, or they feel good at doing, or they are interested in. And so you'll often see if there aren't really tight guidelines on what it is we are all trying to accomplish together, people will go off and focus on pieces that are not necessarily the most important to the overall revenue driving aspect of the marketing strategy. So for a deep dive into how to find your marketing constraint, you can look at some of our past videos, but in general, when working with smaller marketing teams, we like to use a 2-tiered system, meaning we have your core revenue drivers and we have your amplifiers. Core revenue drivers are the things that directly impact the money coming in. And you should have data across the board that measures exactly how much you're paying per customer on each channel. But the idea of a core revenue driver is that if you turn it off, new business coming in will curtail immediately. Then you have your amplifiers, which are things that are increasing your credibility and your reach. These can be things like social media content, although sometimes social media is a core revenue driver, really just depends on your marketing system. But looking at what is bringing in revenue for your business, you should be able to designate your core revenue drivers and your amplifiers. Then you should look at the tasks of each person on your marketing team and make sure that they are spending 70% of their time on core revenue driving marketing and not amplifier marketing. I have put teams on very strict time tracking for about a month or two as we're working through this process, meaning every second of the day, they are logging their time under what they're doing. This is very common in other teams like programming teams, tech teams, but for some reason in marketing, we don't always do this, depends on the company. And when we do this exercise with teams, we start to realize how much time is being spent on things that are not directly increasing revenue coming into the business. So I would challenge you, if you are a one-person marketing team or 2, 3, 4, 5, to take a fine-tooth comb, track every single one of your minutes throughout the day, and take a look at a month in general and put a percentage to how much time is going to revenue-driving marketing and amplifying marketing. And there is often some adjustment that needs to be made in terms of where people's focus and time is mostly going. The next thing that really helps small marketing teams is AI and automation. There's tons of talk about how AI and automation is the next best thing. It's the future. It is where everyone should be going, but it's still vastly underused. And that's mostly because it is new. A lot of people don't know how to use it, don't know how to implement it. And so they're still wasting time on things that could essentially be fully taken off their hands. Now, when we're working with marketing teams to bring in more automation and AI, we do collaborate with automation and AI experts, and I do not claim to be one of those, but I would like to say, an expert in determining what needs automation and AI. So that's what I'm going to talk about right now. People tend to think that anything that can be automated should be automated. And that's not totally true, because setting up automation takes time and money and resources. So there are tons of little busy work things that we do throughout the day that people would think, oh, that would be great to be automated. I won't have to do that anymore. That would be a really easy automation. But when you add up how much time that task actually takes, let's say it's a 30-minute task, you're like, wow, it would be great to take these 30 minutes off my plate, but maybe you only do that once a month. I would say that is not worth the time to set up and invest in the automation if you're working as a small team. Instead, I would take a look at some of the things that take you maybe even less amount of time. Maybe there's a task that only takes you 10 to 15 minutes and you think it's not even worth automating it because I can just do this myself really quickly. However, maybe that 10 to 15 minute task is something that you do 5 times per week. And when you add that up over the entire month, it's actually a significant amount of time that could be taken off of your plate. So my philosophy is not to automate or use AI for anything that it could possibly be used for, but for the things that are actually going to strategically take the most amount of time off your plate, with the understanding of some other better use of that time that we are going to put in place. So when we do the first exercise where we take a look at, do we have that 70-30 balance? Is 70% of people's time going to revenue driving marketing? Is 30% of it going to the amplifiers? Usually there's a bit of an off balance in that percentage. And so then we use automation and AI to help rebalance that percentage, meaning the things that are going to amplifier marketing can typically use more AI and automation so that the actual brain power and talent and energy of the team itself can focus on the revenue driving marketing channels. Now, there are tons of AI tools out there. Just to rattle off a few, we have AI for content, which is things like ChatGPT and Jasper. We have AI for design, which are things like Canva, Midjourney, DALL-E. We have AI for personalization, Seventh Sense, Mutiny. There's AI for data analysis. So AI can be used for a plethora of things, and it should be used for a plethora of things, but only if those things are really strategic, again, to the overall marketing objective of the team in general. The other thing that helps small marketing teams is leveraging other people. That means leveraging other people to market for you and leveraging other audiences. So things like referral and affiliate programs are really good for companies that have small marketing teams and larger marketing teams. Obviously, it's a wonderful marketing tool, but leaning into that when you're small and nimble actually helps other people do some of the marketing work for you. The goal is to always work smarter and not harder. So the more you can have other people spreading the word about your business and bringing new business in the door, the less work that's going to be for you to fully rely on your marketing channels that your team is working on. The next is borrowing other people's audiences. So the more you can do guest work on podcasts or work with influencers, micro-influencers who have already built a good following and have a good audience, the better that is going to help your reach. Rather than building an entire audience from scratch, you can leverage ones that are already built out there that are in alignment with what you do. This, of course, does not negate the need to build your own audience, but it does help small teams get further faster. The next thing that really helps leaders of small marketing teams is getting everyone in on the why of what they're doing. Oftentimes as leaders, many people will understand the vision, they understand the data, they know why we're making the choices that we're doing, they know why we're giving time constraints on things that we're doing. Say, for example, this should only take 2, 3, 4 hours as you're assigning tasks out. The leader understands this, but the team does not. And the team cannot work efficiently if they don't understand the vision of what efficiency means. So I always do agree that there needs to be one core decision maker, one core person driving the ship. Everyone who is on the ship needs to have an understanding of where we're going, how we're going there, and why we're going there. So when getting reports from your marketing team, when assigning tasks to your marketing team, always have a conversation about the why. And I think it's best not to just tell people the why, but to ask them for it back. Saying, do you understand why we're doing this? Do you understand where this fits into our overall strategy? Make people think about it and then repeat it. And that helps really internalize, okay, I understand why and how this needs to be done. And it really keeps small teams on the same wavelength together. As you get larger and larger teams, again, some of this can be missing, and just for the sheer amount of manpower that you have, it can overcome some of those differences. But as a small team, it is more important than almost ever that everyone is on the same page. And the last thing I'm going to talk about, which is such a marketing cliche, but not always put into practice, is to make data-driven decisions. The best marketing teams are not the biggest, they are the smartest. They are not doing the most, they are doing the best. And the only way you can know you're doing that is if you have clear measurements of what everything you're doing, every hour, every brainstorm, every shoot, every outsourced assignment, what all of those things are bringing back to you and to your business. Get religious about what moves the needle most in marketing and focus only in that direction. If you ever need help painting that picture in terms of where are all of our hours going, what channels are driving the most revenue, what is our cost per customer, that is what we as an agency help you do. But just thinking from this perspective can get you so far on your own and help you waste so much less time on things that actually don't matter in the end to your business growth and your business success.